What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover back in another video. In today's video, I'm doing another traditional 7-round mock draft with trades with everything, just like normal. You know, we're getting more into draft season as the weeks go by. Obviously, the NFL Combine invites were sent out today. There's been a ton of draft analysts that put their mock draft 1.0s out. I know I have a ton of mock drafts on this channel. It's just something I really enjoy doing. It's a hobby of mine to do mock drafts. So I thought, why not record it and post it to see what other people think about what the Houston Texans should do? Because that's all it is. I'm a huge Texans fan. So I really love when all of y'all engage with my content. I love talking all things Texans. So um, let's just start. Um, and you can see Jeremiah Love does not go till 10. I was thinking of a potential trade up there. Fano doesn't go all the way till 17 there. And we're up here at 28. I guess new rankings because Lee Hunter's all the way up at 26 now. Um, and who dropped? AJ Halsey dropped a little bit. Ian Atcher jumped. Blake Miller jumped. Pasantis jumped. So who are we dropping in this class? Maybe Caleb Tiernan? Yeah, he drops a little bit. Guards maybe. Um, I mean all these guys jumped quite a decent amount. Um, Bo Stevens I think dropped a little bit. Logan Jones dropped a little bit. Maybe the interior defensive lineman dropped. I mean Peter Woods did go 16, so maybe not um too drastically, but we do still have some guys there that you know are definitely going to jump boards, drop boards, like Akeem Mesidor, I think, dropped a little bit. Um, I really don't know what the significant drop off was. I don't see much. Unless, I mean, Ty Simpson was up there. Did he go already? Oh, yeah, he went 21. Yeah, I don't know what the huge drop off was. Keith Abney dropped a little bit. You can see there. I don't see much in the safeties either. Maybe it's the edges, and I'm just overlooking it. Anthony Hill dropped a little bit, I think. Jake Golday jumped. Um, but anyway, back to the actual part of the draft. Here at 28, I think Lee Hunter could be a very exciting pick. But I think if the Broncos want 30, or if this is something the Jets would be willing to do, um, we'll offer it, see if we can pick up some extra picks in there. We pick up two in the early second round, which I think is great value because here at 33, um, we're able to go with Mr. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. I think that's a great one. Um, Three guys right here, 30 to 32, that we could have looked at drafting. But I really think that, getting a pristine right tackle. Obviously, played left tackle at Georgia, but I really like his tape. I know someone in my comments also said that they really like the idea of Monroe Freeling as a Texan too. So, um, not really to honor them, but I do agree. I really like Monroe Freeling as a true pass blocker. I think has some work to do in the run game a little bit, but that's going to be refined when he's only. I think he's 20 years old right now, or 20, about to turn 21, something like that. But I think a great player and would really solidify his offensive line at that right tackle position. So that's going to be my pick there at number 33. And Pregnon goes all the way up at 36. So that is not an option. Ian Atchor's there at 47, someone you could consider as well. Blake Miller at 28, too, could be an interesting one. Um, Even Chase Basantis, I really like at the somewhere in the first round range. But here with 38, I am just going to look to probably trade down and pick up some extra draft capital if I could. If we could get somewhere around 52 and get like 120, 158, 200, yeah, that would likely be accepted. Even this would likely be accepted. So we'll try to do this to pick up some great draft capital from the Packers. Maybe we throw in 165 in there just to bolster it a little bit for them. And even with a 76% chance it's not happening. Okay. So I guess we can't trade anymore. So we do have to just go ahead and select someone. Um, so here at 38, um, I don't know. I'm going to. What do I want to do here? I guess we can trade down from 44. Obviously not the same value that you're getting. I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dylan Tinnaman. I really like him. I just feel like I do that pick a lot, so I didn't really want to, but um, let's see if we can go to the Chargers, who may be willing to give us this, and we'll give that. That should be a very fair deal. And it is. It's 55, 86, and 123 for 44 and 128. So we pick up a third round pick and a later second in exchange for 44. I wanted Anthony Hill, but he goes right there. So, I don't mind moving down there. As Chase Basantis goes, it's definitely someone I was considering. Blake Miller's still here, but with pick number 45, or not 45, sorry, um, 55, I am just going to pull the trigger on a running back, and I'm going to go with Mr. Jadarian Price here. Um, I know I was asked to explain the picks a little bit more, so I'll do it with these first three. Monter Freeling, great player, really good pass blocker, did play left tackle in college, so he's going to have to swing over to the right. Um, for the Texans, obviously played left for the University of Georgia for 2 consecutive years. I think he started out at right tackle in 2024 and then moved over to the left. I'm not too sure on that, but I do believe that is correct. Um, Really young, has, obviously a lot of development to do, but I think has one of the highest ceilings out of any offensive lineman in this class. And I think if you're looking to move Titus Howard in at guard, then this is definitely something you can consider with drafting Monter Freeling, moving him out to the right tackle position. And I think he's going to be a plug and play starter as soon as he enters the NFL for, anyone really. You can see we're one of the most drafted teams for Monter Freeling. Um, I've been a big fan of him for a while. Um, and I'm just glad that he's getting some recognition. I think he has the true tackle size, which is moving him up draft boards quite a significant amount. But I would really like the pick for the Texans there, especially if you're able to move down and get 33, and then you picked up 44, which you traded down and get a second round pick, another third round pick, and a fourth. Dylan Tinneman really good in the run game as a safety. You can see 6'2" 205. He's going to be able to play as a strong sided safety. He's going to be able to play the two high. Or even drop into the mid reading coverage if you want him to, if we're running cover two. Very versatile safety, good in the run game, has good ball hawk skills. He's going to be a playmaker for any team that he does join. And I do hope it is the Texans because this is probably my favorite safety in this class, other than obviously Caleb Downs. But, I don't really watch too much Caleb Downs because I know we're not going to get him. But Dylan Tinneman's someone that I really, really like. I mean, you can see the coverage grade. It's substantially higher than the run defense grade, but in my opinion, this should be higher as well because he's really good in the run game. And I think we could use that physicality from a safety standpoint. You can see he lined up in the box lined up in the box quite a bit last year. Um, and I believe that was his first year at Oregon. This year he was at Purdue. And you can see how often he was playing deep. Even this year at Purdue, he was playing deep a good amount, but Oregon started utilizing him in and around the box and even deep as well. So he's going to be able to do any role that you really want him to do in the NFL. Really physical, really good run defender. So I think that's a great pick for the Texans, who do need that type of physicality from a safety position because Jalen Petrie is no longer a safety. He's just a nickel for us. Jadarian Price speaks for itself, averages 6 yards a pop for Notre Dame, was a perfect complementary back to Jeremiah Love. I think would have started in a lot of colleges if he did decide to transfer out, but decided to stay. I think he made the right decision. 11 touchdowns on the year. You can see 6 yards per attempt, 6.1, 5.8, so consistent, staying around that range. Really good zone runner. You can see there with the grade, but also decent in the gap game. I think he's a lot better in the gap game than he gets credit for. Um, but typically he's getting those carries when Jeremiah Love needs a rest or is just a little bit banged up. He's able to come and be a workhorse back. And I think he's going to be a workhorse back in the NFL. I think him not having as many carries as a lot of other college running backs means he has a lot left in the tank headed into the NFL. Had 113 carries, which is not a bad amount at all. A lot of running backs get around 150 throughout an entire college season in a pass heavy scheme. Um, Obviously, Notre Dame's not a pass heavy scheme, but he's splitting carries with another back who's the lead back. But I think he's probably the clear number two RB in this class. Obviously, there's potential for an Emmett Johnson or a Jonah Coleman or even a Seth McGowan, who I really like. Jaden Knott's also climbing up boards because of how good he was at the Senior Bowl, how good he was at Cal this year. Right there, I think a lot of teams are banking on that potential that he does show. But I really like Jadarian Price's game. I think that's a pretty easy one for me to pull the trigger on as we get here to 59. And I think this could be Dominic Orange. I really like the idea of that pick. This could be Jake Slaughter if you're looking to improve um, the interior of the offensive line. Excuse me. The Commanders want this. Is there anyone with like 60, 63 and like 70 something? Or are we gonna have to make two deals happen? Because there's two players I'd really like. and I guess that's what we're gonna have to do. The Jets have a lot of draft capital later in the draft. We'll move to 65 with the Cardinals, and pick up 104 and maybe 180. No, you can't really get that. 217, and we'll give 244. I think that's fair. Just to give us some extra picks, in case we do want to move. Um, so we moved down a little bit. No one really has a D line need. So I'm hoping that he's not selected, and he's not. But I am going to want to move back up to around like 70 or I think 68 is a solid range. So if we give 86 and 104, no, that'd be accepted. Really. Um, if we do that and pick up 179, I wouldn't mind this trade at all. Um, please go through. We'll go with that. I think that's fair. Um, and maybe 217 gives it a 14 more percent chance of happening. So we'll do that. And never mind. Um, we'll go very slow after this pick. And go with Mr. Dominic Orange, who I was talking about earlier. Huge, I think, would be a big plug and play guy in the run game. You can see how much he lines up in the A gap. I think he plays. Obviously, Iowa State plays with a three down front, so it's two D ends, and then he's that nose tackle. But I think he's more suited for a system like the Texans, where he'd be alongside a Sheldon Rankins or a Tommy Togiai if we do resign Sheldon Rankins. Don't know what that's all about, but yeah, I think Dominic Orange would, or Big Citrus is what they like to call him, would be better. Um, with a defensive line that has two edges and then two defense or interior defensive linemen where he can just disrupt play predominantly over the B gap. I know he didn't line up there that much in college, but that's because he was at Iowa State and that was their scheme under Matt Campbell, who's now at Penn State. Um, but really good in the run. Had an excellent year this year, but an even better year the year previous. Um, so, I think that he's going to be a really, really good player in the NFL, especially for a team like the Texans, who's just going to add some dynamicism to the defensive line with him. Um, and, a guy that can really plug the run game and let the other defensive linemen get after the quarterback. So there's that. I'm going to stop it here, and let's go with the Eagles. I think this is an easy one still. Um, 86 and 106. And we take 79. And we'll give 217. With a 74% chance of happening, it does go through this time, and we can go back to fast. And Blake Miller does go there, so that's an interesting one. I did this trade because I wanted to get Max Clare, um, tight end out of Ohio State. You can see the receiving grade, receiving stats, not bad at all, especially for an Ohio State offense that has a Jeremiah Smith, a Bo Jackson, a Cornell Tate, who are all going to demand a lot of touches. Bo Jackson, obviously, the running back. Jeremiah Smith, the generational talent at the wide receiver position. I don't throw the word generational out there lightly, but he's truly a generational talent. A guy that's a wide receiver, but could even go number one in the class next year. If that team doesn't need a quarterback. Max Clare, a young tight end, though, I think really good in the blocking game. And that's something we do need if you're looking at the tight ends that can block. You're looking at a Nate Borkirksher, who I really like, Sam Roosh, who I really like. Endries blocks pretty well, too. You can see Michael Trigg, not really. Justin Jolly can a little bit, but not particularly. If you ask him to, he's not as bad as a Michael Trigg, per se. You get down there, Tanner Colgill can't, Daquan Wright can't. John Michael Gillenberg can't. Oscar Delp I really like as a run blocker actually, in comparison to his grades. Nokowski can block really well. Um, but yeah, I think the easy pick is definitely to go with Max Clare here and really shore up that tight end position that definitely needs a lot of help at that tight end two spot. So we're gonna go with that there, and we'll just wait. We still have a good plethora of picks left in this draft. If we want to move down from where we're at, then we definitely can. But I'm not really going to push anything until I see something I really like. And here at 104, I really don't see anything I do like. So I think this is an easy trade down spot. I mean, Markel Bell, if you want some offensive line depth, was very solid for Miami this year, and he's huge. I think he's taller than what he's listed at, to be honest. But yeah, I think this is an easy, um, trade down spot. Isaiah World dropped a lot, so maybe that was something in there too. Albert Regis as well. But yeah, I think this is where you pick up your plethora of picks down the board. And if you could do this, and we'll give 243 just because I feel like it's a little bit fair. Um, and we'll do that just to pick up a lot of picks throughout the remainder of this draft, and we'll go turbo because I don't think I'm going to be making any moves anymore. But here at 123, um, I think Grayson Halton could be a fun one as depth. I think Borkirkshire could be fun as depth as well, as a tight end three, but then you have five tight ends on the roster. You don't really want that. I mean, again, this could really be a trade down spot, but we're not going to do that. We can reach on a guy here. I really don't mind. Um, but it does make a lot of sense to trade maybe for next year's draft capital. We don't really like anything we see at 123. Um, so maybe you look to pick up a one. We'll go 141 from the Cardinals and like a fifth or a sixth and a seventh next year. I think that's fair. Um, Pick up two extra picks in the next year draft. I know I don't do that a lot, but I think we've put ourselves in a great position to really just stack up on draft capital. And here at 141, I am going to go with the safety, someone I think can play safety in the NFL, and I'm going to go with Jalen Kilgore. Just really young and a guy I really like just because of his frame, and how physical he is. I think he's going to be a perfect complement to a Dylan Tinneman, as a backup. So I think you could use depth in that safety room, and I think that's definitely a step in the right direction with drafting Jalen Kilgore. Here at 150, I think it's pretty easy to go with Bo Stevens, just Iowa offensive lineman you typically like to go after, with how well they're coached. You can see how good he's in the pass block game and the run block game and the zone grade and the true pass set grade. Um, you can see his grades throughout the course of the season. Really good against Oregon. Really good against Rutgers. Decent against Indiana. Decent against Wisconsin. Good against Penn State. Good against Nebraska, who have a very solid team, invested a lot of money, in a rivalry matchup too. Just a really good player. Showed out at the Senior Bowl as well. And I think the Texans do need to invest in that offensive line. I haven't done that enough in this draft, to be honest, but I do really like options that are down the board. So I think Bo Stevens does make a lot of sense there at 150. And we get here to 165. Um, and Marjorie Adams stands out right away. Guy that I really like. Nolan Rucci is a guy that can play true tackle. Demetrius Cronover, excuse me, had a really good Senior Bowl, in there. He's huge as well. So if you do want a backup tackle, that's definitely someone you could look at. Um, Cole Brevoort, I really like his frame. Trey Zune, I think, was great for A&M. I think he's going to play guard in the NFL. Um, but at the same time, he's excellent as a pass blocker. I mean, you see that pass block grade. Might be one of the best in this class, and I think could definitely go earlier than a lot of people anticipate, especially PFF with this rank. And I'm glad to see Jeremiah Wright get up the draft board at 200, which would place him in around six. I have him as a round five guy. I talked about him, um, in my draft sleepers video, so you can go check that out if you want. I noted his name, so I'm glad to see that he's getting brought up. But here at 165, I think, um, yeah, I'm gonna go with another guard, and I'm going to go with Trey Zune here. Just really like him as a pass blocker. And you have some flexibility there with Titus Howard now. If he does get injured, you're able to, or if he gets injured or Freeland gets injured, you can stick Howard out to tackle, and Trey Zune can slot in at guard perfectly. Or if you think he's a tackle in the NFL, you can definitely try that out. I wouldn't mind that idea either, because he's big enough. I just don't know if his arms are long enough. Anyway, here at 177, I think you could look to invest back in the running back department, or you could look to invest at a wide receiver. And I think Tyron Montgomery is definitely a fun one. Um, I don't know if his draft stock is really this high. D3 guy, but really showed out in the Senior Bowl. And I think would definitely be a fun pick. I am going to reinvest in the defensive line, though, with this one, and I'm going to go with Cole Brevard or DeMonte Capehart. Very similar players, in my opinion. Really similar in terms of frame. Um, Capehart's a little bit older, but a better run defender than Brevard is. Brevard's a little bit better in terms of getting to the pass or the quarterback, excuse me. So I'm just gonna go with Cole Brevard here, keep the in-state guy in state. And I really like that pick there. And then here we'll go with one of our wide receivers for next season. It's gonna be a very solid depth piece in my opinion. In Mr. Tyron Montgomery, and we skip to the later rounds where We will go with one of our backup quarterbacks, just in case one of these guys do end up. Uh, did Luke Altmaier went at 205? That's one of the guys that I'm wanting. I like Sawyer Robertson's game, but I think you could wait till 221 to do that. So maybe you just go with another player here. And I think you could use some dynamicism at that linebacker position. And I saw someone that if D'Amico's able to coach up, you might have one of the better players in the NFL, to be honest, with how um, dynamic he is with and how unique he is with his frame in Eric Gentry, who 6'6" linebacker. Um, Definitely want to put some weight on him, but I mean, if D'Amico's able to get to him, coach him up, then sky's the limit for that dude. And I definitely think that's a great fit here in Houston, where he's just going to be able to sit, watch, learn, and obviously perfect his technique. And last pick in the draft, we're going to go with Sawyer Robertson here, just to be a backup quarterback in case Davis Mills does end up going to be a starter somewhere, which I definitely think he has the potential to do. But a valuable backup quarterback is always important. Don't get me wrong. But if you're getting if someone's offering a high pick like a third round pick for Davis Mills or second round pick for Davis Mills, then I think you take that all day of the week. Um, but yeah, let me know what y'all think about this draft. A lot of picks in the fifth round is what I'm noticing. Pretty consistent trend there. With one, two, three, four, five selections in the fifth round. Um, Two in the third, two in or three in the second, excuse me. Starting our draft in the second, actually. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about this draft down in the comment section below. And as always, it's Takeover, and I'm out. Thanks again for watching. Peace.